Here we are revving up to 5 red lights here in Monaco, and it's lights out and away we go. And Fernando Alonso, after an incredible qualifying lap yesterday, gets an incredible start today. Lewis Hamilton's on the inside of Valtteri Bottas. They're side by side are the two Mercedes. Side by side go the two Mercedes. Bottas and Hamilton still side by side up the hill. Oh, are they going to make contact? Are they going to make contact? They're still side by side up the hill. This is incredible racing. Side by side, Bottas has the inside. Hamilton's got the inside for the next corner. Bottas touches the wall on the inside. Is he going to have damage? No, Hamilton has the inside for the next corner. Now they go down the hill. Late braking from Bottas round the outside of Hamilton. Hamilton has to leave the room. And they're still side by side of Bottas. Late braking into the hairpin. Hamilton's on the outside. He's still holding it. Bottas takes the place with Verstappen now on the back of Hamilton. And Fernando Alonso has the lead here in Monaco after a stunning qualifying lap. Out of absolutely nowhere, he took pole position. And with it now, a 1.6 second gap on Valtteri Bottas. Can Fernando Alonso win here in Monaco? That would be absolutely astonishing. As Verstappen and Hamilton are battling the two championship rivals, and Sergio Perez as well as championship rival down there in 5th, not too far behind. Alonso leads. Bottas is closing up fast. We know the Mercedes is a much quicker car. I don't know where that lap came from for Fernando, but it just came out of absolutely nowhere, and I don't think he's going to have that kind of race pace. But can he hold off Bottas for the entirety of this race, as well as Hamilton, who's going to be quick, although Hamilton is already losing a little bit of time to his teammate. Hamilton said he wasn't too happy with the setup coming into this weekend, and it's pretty clear that he's just not been quite on the pace, and he's been losing the back end a lot. And then honestly, he said he was surprised that he even got 3rd place in qualifying. Norris doing a good job to beat both Ferraris at a track Ferrari were expecting to do better than McLaren at, with Carlos Sainz in 7th in front of Pierre Gasly, who's somehow in front of Charles Leclerc, who's in a pretty disappointing 9th place, as well as Daniel Ricciardo, he's very good at this track. It was pretty disappointing to see him down there in 10th as we go down the grid. We also see Esteban Ocon in 14th, while his teammate is in the lead of the race. That is pretty incredible. But Alonso is certainly losing a lot of time. He's lost about over a second from the previous lap. But now, the problem Bottas is going to have to deal with is actually overtaking Alonso. Because Bottas has a lot of pace. He's pulling from Hamilton, but can he overtake Alonso? That is the real question here. And that's something that Bottas really going to have to work hard to do. If he gets helped up by Alonso here, it could help Hamilton close up, and he could potentially challenge them. And here he is now. Yeah, you can see he's actually really closing up to them over the lap, although he's losing a little bit of time there. He's lost quite a bit of time there. So you see, he's just not working with the setup too well. Here's Verstappen right on the back of Hamilton. If he could get in front of Hamilton, that would be amazing for his championship, as they are in championship fight. But see, Verstappen loses the back end a little bit, nearly hits the wall, but he's kept it together very nicely. Let's go down the straight here. Sergio Perez down there in 5th. Pretty average performance from Red Bull. We were probably expecting them to actually be challenging for the win, as they usually do here in Monaco, pretty much since 2016. So definitely a little bit disappointing to see them down here in 4th and 5th, not even on the podium. But to be honest, I don't think anybody expected Fernando Alonso to be up in 1st place. Says Sergio Perez. Goes very nicely through these next complex of corners, through Rasgas and through the final corner, nearly hitting the wall, getting very nice up close and personal. And he goes down this straight very nicely. Here we are on board with Perez still here on lap 4. And we're going to skip over to lap 6 now, as nothing really happened, as Perez was just kind of driving around, and Bottas was stuck behind Alonso. But here, Verstappen has got a really good run on Hamilton. Hamilton's been struggling with his tires now. Hamilton goes a little bit wide, he misses the apex. Verstappen goes for it down the inside. This is side-by-side battle for the podium. Hamilton has to leave the room, so Verstappen doesn't go into the wall. Now they're still side-by-side. Late braking from Verstappen. There again, he nearly goes into the wall. Can he send it around the outside? No, he can't. Hamilton loses the back end. Hamilton holds the position, but again, he goes a little bit wide into the hairpin. This is very close racing between these two incredibly talented drivers. To be able to drive like that and not make contact is absolutely incredible. But Verstappen's not quite finished yet. Hamilton's struggling on his tires. Hamilton's struggling for pace. Hamilton's just generally struggling in this race, and I think if Verstappen passed him, he'd pull away, but certainly has not been the case yet. He has not been able to get past. So Hamilton's just driving around in third at the moment, as Bottas has not been able to get within half a second of Alonso here. And we're still on board with Verstappen to see if he can close up that gap, as I believe Fernando Alonso has come into the pits here. So this is going to be a big, important stage for Alonso. If he can hold the lead, if he can retain that lead during the pit stop phase. He is pitting earlier, so he's going to be on fresher tires, but he's going to have to deal with potential traffic, so that's going to be something that could be a potential challenge. With Hamilton again missing all these apexes, although he hits that one nicely. He's just struggling with the car. He can't hit these apexes. He can't get the car turned in, it seems. And yeah, surprisingly poor performance from Hamilton at the moment, and a little bit unfortunate to see. Verstappen still pushing the car as hard as he can to try and close that gap. We see Hamilton he is pulling away in some areas, but then Verstappen's closing that gap in other areas, so he's not really able to properly pull away from Verstappen. And now that pit stop phase is going to be crucial for Hamilton, because he could potentially lose that position to Verstappen, who's currently in third, but he's in provisional fourth after Alonso, who seems to be stuck behind Giovinazzi. Very nice up close and personal with those walls is Max Verstappen. And Verstappen pits. Verstappen's going to undercut, as is Bottas, so that's going to leave Hamilton into the lead of the race. And with that lead, what can he do now? If he can really push, if he can really go for it now, this is hammer time for him. Because this is exactly where he's going to potentially make up those positions on Alonso and Bottas. But you can see, he's just not getting enough turn-in for these corners. And he's not going close enough to these walls to really gain those extra fractions of a second. I guess he just doesn't have the confidence to, with the way that car is acting right now as he goes through the hairpin. And you see, oh, he loses the back end, nearly spins it around there. So the car is really sliding everywhere, because he just hasn't got the pace on those tires. They're very dead now, but this was his best opportunity to get past them, would be with an overcut. So that's what they're trying. I don't know if it's really going to work, because he's really sliding around on these tires, and even Vettel is closing the gap a little bit. Well, not closing the gap, but he's closed about 2/10 on Hamilton there. So that just shows that Hamilton's pace just might not quite be where it needs to be. As Alonso's there, up in 6th place already. Bottas has not been able to overtake him, so that means Bottas is going to have to overtake Fernando Alonso on track if he wants to make this work, or Alonso is going to have to get damage. But knowing Fernando, that seems pretty unlikely unless someone else hits him. Bottas there, look at that, 3/10 behind him. He's right up behind him, but he just can't find a gap to get around him, as Alonso is going to have to DRS on the straight because of Giovinazzi, who still is not pit because he has started on the medium tires. Hamilton has pit. Hamilton's pit. He's coming out of the pits now, and look at that. He's actually lost time to Alonso and Bottas. Or at least he hasn't gained any time. Maybe he hasn't lost time, but he definitely hasn't gained any time. And more importantly, he is behind Max Verstappen. So he's definitely not gained any time, because he was in front of him before. So that's very unfortunate for Hamilton. The overcut did not work. The fresher tires were the way to go. Here's Hamilton, and he's going to send it down the inside of Max Verstappen. That was very unexpected. Very, very unexpected from Hamilton, but he launches it down the inside, just like he did back in 2011, 10 years ago. And he's doing it again. Last time it ended with a collision with Massa. This time he was lucky that Verstappen left the room, and Hamilton just sent it. I don't think Verstappen was expecting that, but that's a very important overtake for Lewis Hamilton. And now another important thing to note is that is a place where we know Hamilton is very strong under braking into the hairpin, so he could potentially make more overtakes there, which would be incredible to see. That's got to be one of the best overtakes I've seen all season so far. So very impressive stuff from Lewis Hamilton as he goes braking into Rascasse there. Nice and wide entry so he can get a strong exit here. That's very crucial for him if he wants to get Bottas, but no, he loses the back end. That's going to be a problem for both tire wear and his attempt at overtaking Bottas, because Bottas is also going to have that DRS from Alonso. But anyways, they are both being held up by Giovinazzi here. Well, all three of them are in fact being held up by Giovinazzi, and that could be a very big advantage for Hamilton, because they're all going to be taking that hairpin a lot slower. But anyways, we'll see what Hamilton can do, because that is risking a collision when he goes for an overtake like that. But Hamilton doesn't seem to care anymore, and here he is on the back of Bottas. He's going to go for it again. Yes, he is down the inside of his teammate. That could have ended in a collision. That was very similar to the move he made on Massa, but he had to go very slowly, so he didn't make contact. Look at that, he loses the back end there. And yellow flags here, yellow flags for, I'm not entirely sure why, but there were yellow flags there. Either way, Hamilton just sending it at the hairpin, and now he's going to go after his former teammate from McLaren, Fernando Alonso. Can he take the lead of this race? And that would be incredible after what was a relatively underwhelming qualifying and a relatively underwhelming first part of the race. And Hamilton also, one thing to note is he is really hitting those curbs. He's really going over to those curbs, which could be risking floor damage or, yeah, just damage in general. But he does not care. He is going for it in this race. Giovinazzi still has not pit. He's going to go pretty long in this race because he's on those mediums. But yeah, Hamilton just, he's really going for it here. He knows it's crucial for his championship that he needs to make these overtakes. He's already made 2 overtakes in the hairpin, and those have been incredible to see. Alonso needs to get past Giovinazzi because he's all over the back of him. Could Fernando Alonso lose the lead of this race? Now they go coming into the hairpin. Hamilton's very close behind. Is Hamilton going to go for it again? Yes, he is. Down the inside goes Lewis Hamilton. And that's the provisional lead of the race. As he sends it down the inside of Fernando Alonso. Alonso is probably not going to have some very kind words on the radio about that. But Hamilton does not seem to care because his championship here is at stake. And he just had to go for it, didn't he? And just absolutely sent it on Fernando. And again, Fernando's brilliant spatial awareness stopped any kind of collision from happening. So very good driving from Fernando. Good driving from Bottas as well to avoid a collision. And for Max, I mean, he was already ahead of Max when he was at the apex. So that's pretty good. Now he's on the back of Giovinazzi and Ken Hamilton, who's shown that he seems to be the only one here who can overtake here at Monaco. Can he overtake Giovinazzi? Is Giovinazzi going to pit this lap? No, not quite. He's going to have to make this one work. On track. Now they go onto the straight. Loses the back end a little bit. But now they go down the straight. Opens up the DRS. He's on the back of Antonio Giovinazzi. Look at that! He nearly goes into the wall there. He goes around the outside of Giovinazzi. Late braking. Brilliant overtake. He sent it to the inside. Giovinazzi shut the door. Here comes Fernando Alonso on Antonio Giovinazzi. We can't quite see that because we're on board with Hamilton here. Is Alonso going to go for it on Giovinazzi? Ooh, we're checking on the timing. No, it seems he has stayed behind. Very unfortunate for Fernando. But Hamilton, he had a look to the inside, but he just couldn't make, but then Giovinazzi covered that off. Then Hamilton said, okay, fine, I'll go to the outside. And he sets it around the outside. Late braking. Brilliant move from Lewis Hamilton. He's made 4 overtakes, go from a provisional 4th up to 1st now, and also overtaking Giovinazzi, of course. That's going to be a big advantage now, because now he can pull away, because Giovinazzi's going to be on those old mediums. Hamilton is on those fresh mediums in a nice, quick Mercedes, and look at that, he is riding those curbs. Once again, that could be risking floor damage. And again, look at that, he misses the apex very badly, coming into that high-speed left-hander. Could he have damage? Could he have gone one curb too far? But it doesn't matter because he's caught up to Kimi Räikkönen now, and he's on the back of him. Can he overtake Kimi? No, he's a bit too far back. I don't think he can really go for it here. But is he going to go for it? No, he's going to stay back, but he's going to take a wider entry so he can get a stronger exit onto the straight. George Russell currently leads the race, but of course he still has not made his pit stop. Hamilton still on the back of Kimi. Is he going to send it at the hairpin? Yet another overtake at the hairpin. That would be absolutely stunning if he could. It seems to be a good overtaking spot for him. And he went for the move that he tried 10 years ago, and it finally worked out for him. Is he going to go for it? He's a bit far back. No, he's not quite going to go for it. He's going to take a wide entry into the hairpin. Try and get a strong exit onto this next straight so that maybe, just maybe, he can get Kimi coming into the braking zone for the chicane, but he looks like he's a little bit far back. He's gonna get into that slipstream, but there's no DRS, of course. He's trying. Is he gonna send it? He's gonna send it. He's gonna send it. Goes down the inside to Lewis Hamilton. They make contact there, and Kimi Räikkönen has to go off track, but he retains the position. Brilliant defending from Kimi Räikkönen to stay on the outside, but defend his position beautifully. And great driving from Hamilton to not make contact there. And now they go quickly through swimming pool into his next corner. This is losing Hamilton time. He needs to be pulling away if he wants to get away from Alonso and Bottas. Now they go down the straight. This is where he overtook Giovinazzi. Now Russell is coming to the pits. Here comes Hamilton. He's on the back of Kimi Räikkönen. Räikkönen goes defensive there. More brilliant defensive driving from Kimi Räikkönen. Brilliant to watch. But now Hamilton goes side by side with Kimi Räikkönen with the slipstream, side by side, down the inside in the next corner. We're on board for Alonso. Now down the inside goes Hamilton. He has to leave the space for Kimi on the inside. Kimi just sends it back down the inside. Round the outside goes Lewis Hamilton, and he takes the lead here in Monaco. Brilliant stuff by Lewis Hamilton, and Giovinazzi is also pit, so that's going to be a problem for Hamilton because Alonso has closed up the gap that Hamilton created to Giovinazzi. because he was so busy battling with Kimi Räikkönen. Now Hamilton is pushing here. He needs to try and pull away, but he's also really shredded his tires. He's used up a lot of his battery. He needs to also conserve his car if he wants to actually win this race, because Alonso is going to be quick now. Alonso's not going to be happy, and Alonso's going to want to win his first race since Spain 2013. It's been a long time for Alonso. In fact, last time Fernando Alonso won a race, Lewis Hamilton only had one Formula 1 World Championship. Now he has 7. Just showing the absolute dominance of Mercedes in recent years. And now here, Alonso is released now in pursuit of Hamilton. He's 2.3 seconds back, but can he catch him? I don't know. I mean, he's in an Alpine, so it's very unlikely, but we'll see if Hamilton does actually have floor damage, because I'm not too sure. I believe he does, but if he doesn't, that would be great for him, because there's 6 laps left in this race with a 2-second gap to Alonso. But Alonso is pushing hard. Now he has the clear air. Now he can really push and go for it, because we know how hungry he is to win in Formula 1 after all those years at McLaren, and well, of course, at McLaren, where he just failed to win any races, of course. Now it's 1.9 seconds. Look at that. He is actually closing on Hamilton. Hamilton, yeah, so he does in fact have floor damage, minor floor damage, but if he keeps riding the curbs, it's going to become more major floor damage, and that's going to become a serious problem for Hamilton. But yes, we've just been told that he does have minor floor damage. But he's still retaining that gap of 2.2 seconds on Fernando Alonso, so that's exactly what Hamilton needs here. And Alonso still keeping that gap to Bottas. Bottas just cannot seem to get close enough to overtake Alonso, and it's incredible to see that Alonso is up there in second. I think no matter what, he's going to get a podium in this race, which would be an absolutely incredible achievement, since his last podium was back in Hungary 2014. Look at the way he just turns the car in. It's brilliant to see. He's absolutely pushing that Alpine to the absolute limit here in Monaco. And it's now 2.1 seconds to Hamilton. They go through the hairpin. Alonso continues to... He's actually lost a little bit of time through the hairpin, so that's unfortunate for Hamilton. I mean, for Alonso. It's a good thing for Hamilton. Alonso has regained a couple more tenths through the following corners after the hairpin. It's not looking good for Alonso, but he's still going to keep pushing for that win. He's not going to give up. It's 2.3 seconds now, 2.4 now. And, yeah, Hamilton is absolutely pushing now. He knows he needs to try and win this race. And it's exactly what he needs here in this championship. After a relatively poor start to the championship, he still hasn't won a race this season, while Max Verstappen has won a full 3 races, I believe, with Perez winning 1. So Red Bull have won all the races this season. It's looking like Mercedes could win a race here, could win their first race of the season here in Monaco, either with Bottas or Hamilton. More likely, it'll be Hamilton, but we know he's been struggling with the setup. We know he does also have minor floor damage, and as those tires start to go off, he's going to have more and more trouble than Alonso, because we saw in the earlier part of the stint he was pushing up a lot harder. And look at that, Hamilton has made a mistake, and he's lost a lot of time to Alonso here. 1.4 seconds now. That's a big loss. That's a big loss to Alonso, and a big problem, because that's... Now Alonso 1.2 seconds. Hamilton's really struggling. He must have gotten some more damage, and that's very unfortunate for Hamilton, but exactly what Alonso needs. He's got more damage, and his tires are in worse condition because of all that overtaking he was doing earlier. Alonso was more holding back, conserving his car, conserving his tires, so that now in this stage of the race he can really push. And look at that. He's gained over a second this lap. Look at that, 9 tenths now. He's absolutely 8 tenths. 9 tenths. Hamilton struggling a lot here. He's got some serious problems. 6 tenths now. Look at that. Hamilton's got some serious problems with his the floor of his car, as it creates so much downforce when it's damaged because of going over curbs. That's become a serious problem. Alonso's now in the DRS. That's going to mean Alonso can gain more time on that straight. 5 tenths now, 4 tenths now, 3 tenths now. He's absolutely flying up the hill using the slipstream. He's on the back of Hamilton. They go into this next corner. Hamilton Hamilton goes a little bit wide. Fernando Alonso goes down the inside. Becomes the outside for the next corner. Fernando Alonso has the lead of the race as Hamilton gets sent back down the inside. Hamilton backs off. Fernando Alonso takes the lead here in Monaco. What a move from Fernando Alonso. Hamilton with his damage is struggling a lot. Fernando Alonso is back in the lead of the race and could win his first race since Spain 2013. That would be incredible. And that would also mean it would be Alpine's first race win since arguably Australia 2013, since they are the same team. And that's incredible to see for Fernando Alonso to beat out Lewis Hamilton with a brilliant overtake, an absolutely stunning overtake. Hamilton went wide. He must have had damage, of course, and his tires are going off, and he just sent it back around the outside. Brilliant move from Fernando Alonso. Brilliant drive from Fernando Alonso, as Hamilton is really, really struggling here. He's losing a lot of time there. He's already out of DRS of Alonso. And now he's going to have to defend from his teammate Valtteri Bottas. Are the team going to tell Bottas to go through? Or are they going to hold him back because Hamilton is the one who's in with a shot of winning that championship? Who knows? But Hamilton really struggling now. As they go down the hill here, this is where the corner Hamilton's struggling the most at. Look at that, he's struggling again. Bottas goes around the outside. Valtteri Bottas has a look around the outside. They're going to go side by side. Hamilton and Bottas down the inside goes with Hamilton. Hamilton defends this time on Bottas. And here comes Verstappen. Verstappen has a look on Bottas. Very close racing between all of them. Very surprising that none of them have damage. But of course Hamilton, he's just trying to stay in front. Look at that, losing the back end. He's got no pace. 2.9 seconds behind Alonso now with only 2 laps to go. Fernando Alonso is looking more and more likely like he's going to win this race. And that'll also mean Alpine will have a race win before Mercedes this season. Look at that, Hamilton sliding through the under braking. And that's struggling. He's showing that he's struggling. Look at that. Very wide there. He's losing so much. Oh, again there. Nearly hits the wall. Hamilton absolutely all over the place. Bottas has a look there. But then he has to back out of it. Hamilton 4 seconds behind Alonso now. He's got some major problems, potentially even engine problems or gearbox problems. But that car is slowly breaking down. He's just been a bit too aggressive with it today, maybe. And it's costing him at this stage of the race. The final lap of the race now. All he has to do is stay in front of Bottas. Look at how much faster Bottas was through turn 1, though. They go up the hill. Bottas is going to have a look. Is he going to have a look? Hamilton's obviously going to go wide again. Bottas goes for it down the inside. They're side by side again. Very close. Very ballsy from Bottas. Around the outside. Nearly hits the wall. Now on board with the Verstappen. Hamilton down the inside. Late braking by Lewis Hamilton. But it cost him there. Bottas does a switchback. Bottas does a switchback. Nearly goes into the wall there. Bottas can't make it work. Now Alonso 5.9 seconds. Hamilton is losing 2-3 seconds a lap now to Alonso, who's not even the fastest guy on track. Very, very unfortunate for Hamilton. Here he comes now, breaking into the chicane. All he has to do is just finish this lap. The main overtaking spots are gone. Of course, Rascats is actually an overtaking opportunity if you're ballsy enough, but I don't think Bottas is really going to go for it. Fernando Alonso around the final few corners. Fernando Alonso, for the first time since Spain 2013, is going to win here in Monaco if he goes to this final corner properly. He's done it. He comes up to the line. Fernando Alonso wins here in Monaco.
Take a look at the driver's standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I think it has to be Fernando Alonso. He got the strategy spot on and consistently had the pace to come through as well.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.